So, you want to just, like, say who I am first?
Yeah,
Sure.
I'm David Fleming, the CEO and president of Rev Birmingham, and we focus on downtown and neighborhood commercial areas for revitalization and economic development. The Parkside area, that, as we know it today, is an area that's actually been a part of our city really since the beginning. And it's a part of our city that on the side of the railroad tracks that divide the city north and south was always sort of a light industrial, and as cars came along, kind of an automotive district. And so it was actually part of the railroad reservation, which was set aside for industry. And of course, in the 60s, as UAB grew and became the largest employer in Alabama, and of course Children's Hospital's presence, all of that began to really provide more economic opportunity. But the district largely, even though there had been a lot of planning about what it could be, it had largely remained a light industrial district. But about 25 or so years ago, this idea of a railroad park happened. A large green space that could be reclaimed industrial land that could become our big civic common. And that idea floated around. It was planned, Frank Setzer from the Auburn studio, who's no longer with us, was one of those early voices advocating for that, and Larry Watts and a few others. And this idea was floating around, and then a young group of civic folks, civic leaders who were very early, young professionals really, began to take that up and begin to push that idea even more. So we really need to have that. And really formed what was the original Friends of the Railroad Park group. And that group really advocated for the idea for a number of years, really in the, say, 1990s to early 2000s. And the spark that really got this going beyond just casting a vision was that economic forces began to recognize the potential for what it could mean for the city. And some early city center development pioneers, Robert Simon and Brian Gentina and Jeff Golden and some others who were interested in seeing more residential development happen in that area, realized that that park needed to happen for any of the rest of it to happen. And they began to bring their resources to the table, and then more business leaders began to come into the Railroad Park organization. Several of us who were the sort of young professionals began to move out so that the people with the ability to get it done came in and got it done. And that has been, the development of Railroad Park has been the catalyst thing that has really changed and established Parkside as a whole new, vibrant, thriving market that we know today. The next thing that happened, though, quickly on the heels of that, was the development of, let me back up, you can edit, I know. As Railroad Park was going on, you were beginning to see the seeds of some change. Leaders from Good People Brewing decided that they would locate somewhere in that area. And you had some early architects like Dick Pigford put his architecture office there, and then a number of other folks began to filter in that began to change the complexion from that old kind of light industrial district. And of course, the growth of UAB and Children's Hospital was thriving on that south end. So shortly, though, after Railroad Park was in the midst of being completed, again, Robert Simon and the Logans and Maribel and the others who really thought that, and Jonathan Austin, they all thought that we needed to have the Barons come back to town from the suburbs. And that began the process of working with a number of partners to get a new baseball park built in the area. Had to find the site, worked with UAB, worked with many others to get the site under control, and long story short, we now have Regions Field, which has again been a tremendous thing. So those two things that are what really changed the minds of this community, Railroad Park and then Regions Field, all of a sudden people were coming down to experience downtown in a way they had never experienced before, in some cases never experienced. I believe that those two things began to really change the minds of this community about downtown and begin to help help people see that, hey, downtown's got some cool things going on and some great potential. Beyond that, some other developers that have shown leadership, even before Parkside really got cool as it is now, folks like Dick Schmaltz and his partner Scott Bryant have for a long time focused on trying to get a grocery store there, and that of course is underway now. And that's a pivotal thing for downtown, to get that grocery store on 20th Street right as sort of the gateway into the Parkside district. That's really going to change the landscape of downtown. The guys with Shannon Walchek were very early at seeing some of the buildings that could be adapted and reused for sort of new wave of business that wants cool space, not just the sort of typical office space, that they want to be in a cool space. And they really began to bring investors and other people with them and turn into real leaders in Parkside development. And they've done several projects in the area now. So you're really seeing a lot of leadership from public and private leaders that have taken a lot of risk early on to sort of make Parkside what it is today. Now, the future of Parkside depends on all of us deciding, that we're going to all march together in trying to make Parkside be the greatest thing that it can be, and really realize its potential. To that end, the City of Birmingham and the Power Company, Children's Hospital, and UAB all essentially commissioned Rev to work with them on developing a vision for Parkside, a new brand that you're seeing go up now. Really something that solidifies this as more than just some talk, but a real viable district that has a vision. And the vision is for this district to be a real walkable urban core, really a starting point for your experience in Birmingham. This is the place where you'd want to go to really start your journey through Birmingham and go out from here, and hopefully do so in a walkable way. And so all the development and things that we hope to see happen, we want to see really help to reemphasize the idea of an active district, a place that's walkable, and a place that really is a starting point on your journey in Birmingham. And all those entities are still sort of fueling that vision implementation. So those entities, I would say, are helping to fuel the future too.